He brought a knife into school at 7:15 this morning and started stabbing people.
He witnessed everything, and he was like, yeah, I was stabbing people, and it was just like, whoa.
Anxious parents waited to make sure their children were safe.
We have been in breaking news coverage now for much of the day. Dozens of ambulances and police cars rushed to Franklin Regional High School.
Right now, though, you are looking at a very tense situation between parents waiting for their kids at the middle school there, just a few short steps away from the high school where this all took place. And, you know, just to recap, 7:13 this morning, a 911 call went out from the school resource officer there as you watch kids just scurry off and head home to safety. 7:13, this all started. The stabbings went on for a good half an hour. We're told the suspect was taken into custody, but before he was taken into custody, he went from multiple classrooms, classroom to classroom, into the hallway, stabbing as many people as he could.
At 7:13 this morning, our 911 center received a call from the resource officer here at Franklin Regional High School that he needed medical assistance at the school. He had multiple patients involved in a stabbing.
We have confirmed that 5 people were taken here to UPMC East. We pulled up just a short time ago.
Well, we do have confirmation that 1 student has been brought here to Presby. That comes from UPMC. They laid it out where everybody is. So we know that 1 person, and I do believe it is the student who I've been talking with his girlfriend on Twitter. She tells me she's on her way now with her mother out here to try to see her boyfriend. What she could tell me so far is that it's a boy, he's a junior, that he was stabbed at random in the stomach. As you mentioned, a lot of these injuries seem to have come in the stomach. That seems to be the case here. We do know from the girlfriend, she says that he's in surgery right now.
Yeah, Joe and Catherine, in fact, this is about as visible a law enforcement presence outside the high school as we've seen all morning.
Catherine, there's been a steady stream of parents arriving here. This is the official parent pickup at Heritage Elementary. When they arrive, police officers are quick to reassure them that their student is safe. Come on in, go into the cafeteria. That's where you'll check out your student. Believe it or not, there are still students being escorted to this school, about a dozen at a time, by teachers and by Penn Township police officers. They've been arriving here every 15 minutes or so. And parents, again, there's been just a stream of them here, some of them pretty emotional, in tears, others calm, reassuring their student. Somebody pointed out something interesting to me, and you can see there's another group of students being escorted into the building right now. But somebody said, you know, by the time the parent leaves the building and hears from their child about what happened, by the time they get to the fence here, you know, where we're stationed, there's tears. That's when they realize what happened and how traumatizing it must have been, especially for these high school students. One sophomore that we talked to said he really thought this was just business as usual, another fire drill. He and his girlfriend started casually walking out of the building when students started running behind them. They saw blood, they saw injured victims, and they started running with them. And he told us how traumatizing it was.
Fire drill went off, walked outside, thought it was a normal fire drill. And then I saw people running and screaming and crying, so I thought something has to be wrong. Then I saw people holding each other's hands. I saw some other people getting cut, just blood everywhere. It was very traumatizing.
I can tell you that the 16-year-old suspect is now at Westmoreland Regional Hospital in Greensburg. We understand at this hour he is being treated for lacerations to his hand. There may be some other injuries as well because he was tackled here in the hallway after allegedly going on that stabbing rampage here at Franklin Regional High School this morning. Now, we were at the police department earlier when investigators brought the suspect out. He is 16 years old. He is a juvenile at this point. No charges have been filed against him, and we are, of course, blurring his face out and not identifying him at this point, but he was taken to the hospital. He was taken out in a Murraysville police car, transported to Westmoreland Regional Hospital in Greensburg. Now, earlier in the morning, paramedics came to the police station and also treated him, we understand, for about 15 to 20 minutes. They left, and then, of course, the suspect was taken to Westmoreland Regional Hospital in Greensburg. We understand he's going to be treated there and then will be brought back to the Murraysville Police Department for questioning.
I can tell you right now that the superintendent from Franklin Regional Regional has just arrived on the scene. You see him walking right down there, along the line of buses. His name is Gennaro Pirano. He is the superintendent of Franklin Regional. He's going to be giving us a news conference here shortly to tell us exactly what happened. And I realize that a number of our viewers might be tuning into the story for the first time, so we want to recap what happened here. There was apparently a sophomore, a 16-year-old student here at Franklin Regional High School who came to school armed with 2 knives and started stabbing students. There were 20 victims, 19 of them students, one of them an adult.
That he is now said to be in stable condition, out of surgery after being stabbed in the stomach. Now we asked her to tell us exactly what Brandon was able to tell us about what happened this morning. She says that he told her that he was just standing in the hallway. That 16-year-old suspect walked by and he thought he had been punched in the stomach, and it wasn't until one of his friends who was standing next to him saw blood on his shirt, realized that he had actually been stabbed, and at that point Brandon actually collapsed to the ground. And here is a message that his aunt just told us that he gave her right here at Children's Hospital from his bed. Take a listen.
And the message that he would like to share is that he really wants some justice, and that we need to try to prevent these types of tragedies from happening.
Breaking news.
I mean, I expect nothing less from him. He's a good man. He's always done the right thing.
Stories of heroism amid panic and confusion. Breaking news coverage of a school stabbing continuing right now at 4 here on Channel 11 News.
It happened just after 7 this morning, and we have been in breaking news coverage now for much of the day. Dozens of ambulances and police cars rushed to Franklin Regional High School, where as many as 20 people were stabbed.
And Peggy, parents watched and waited, hoping their children were okay. Emotional reunions happening at an elementary school just yards away from the high school turned into a crime scene.
The suspect is only a sophomore, and within the past few minutes, we got this new video. There he is, your first look at him. This young man is only 16 years old, but he is being charged as an adult with attempted homicide.
So we've been following this major breaking story since it broke early this morning.
And within just the past few hours, we're learning about some incredible, brave actions that prevented an even bigger tragedy.
Indeed, Peggy. Channel 11's Rick Earl starts our Team 11 coverage with brand new information on the suspect. Rick.
Yeah, David, we can tell you that 16-year-old Alex Reibel just left the Murraysville Police Department minutes ago. Police escorted him out into a police car and then drove him away to the District Justice Office in Export. He's going to be arraigned before District Justice Charles Conway in just a short time. He will be charged as an adult, and we have the breakdown of the charges. We understand he will be charged with 21 counts of aggravated assault and 4 counts of attempted homicide and 1 count of carrying a weapon onto school property. Now, investigators here tell me Reibel allegedly used 2 8-inch steak knives to slash and stab 19 students and 1 staff member at Franklin Regional High School earlier today. Now, I asked investigators just minutes ago if they had a motive, if they know why this student allegedly did this, and they say at this point they do not know a motive. They said when the stabbing was going on that the suspect allegedly wasn't saying anything as he went through the hallways at Franklin Regional High School stabbing students and that staff member. Now, earlier today I spoke with a student, a senior at Franklin Regional High School. He's 18-year-old Ian Griffin, and he is headed to Penn State in the fall. He's headed to Penn State, but he's a senior here at Franklin Regional. Tells an incredible story. Says he was walking down the stairwell, heard all of the commotion, actually saw the suspect stabbing a security guard, and at that point he says he witnessed the vice principal, the principal at the school, Mr. King, then yelling and screaming at the suspect, and then the suspect was running down the hallway. Mr. King gave chase and then actually jumped on the suspect. At that point, the student tells me he ran behind Mr. King and actually jumped on top of Mr. King as King tackled that suspect. And this student says he actually held down the hands of that suspect. Here's what he had to say just a short time ago.
I was in the school and I came down the stairs and I saw the kid and Mr. King was yelling at him and I didn't know why. I turned around and saw him stab Sarge, the police officer, and afterwards he went down and Mr. King took off to take the kid down, and I was right behind him, and we both jumped on him and immobilized him. And
what was going through your mind when you're doing this, when this is happening?
Not much.
You just instinctively reacted like that? Were you scared? Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was looking for a garbage can to hit him with or something.
Do you know the suspect? Can you tell us anything about him?
No.
You don't know him at all?
No.
Was he talking? Was he saying anything to anybody while all this was going on?
No.
What did Mr. King, what was Mr. King saying to him?
He was just taking action.
Just taking action?
Yeah.
Was he saying put it down, surrender?
Initially, I don't think that he knew that he was the stabber. Yeah, from what I remember, it sounded like he was just trying to get him out of the building until we saw him stab.
Now, earlier, the police chief and the public safety director for Westmoreland County said that most of the kids ran. You didn't run. Most of the kids ran away from danger. You ran toward it.
I was put into the situation. I didn't know what was going on until I was in the middle of it.
Do you think you saved lives?
No, I think that Mr. King was the main hero here.
But you tackled on top of Mr. King as he was taking him down?
Yes.
Obviously, you just heard the assistant principal being called a hero moments after the stabbing.
Channel 11's Jodine Costanzo got a chance to talk with that man's son, and Jodine, he is very proud of his dad, understandably.
Yes, he sure is. Well, Peggy, shock and sadness really describe the mood here on Sunflower Court. That 16-year-old suspect lives here on the street, but so does that assistant principal, Sam King, who tackled him and stopped the violence. Now, King's son arrived at the family home a short time ago. He said he talked with his dad by phone. He told me his dad is fine, but very emotional.
I mean, I expect nothing less from him. He's a good man. He's always done the right thing. He always does the right thing. And so I'm proud of him. I know everyone that knows him is proud of him. And it just feels good to know that my dad saved the day.
He sure did. Well, police have been outside that suspect's home all day. You can see them right there. Now, just a short time ago, we saw some neighbors going into the house. It looked like they let the family dog out. Police let them inside. They left. I can tell you that some national media just within the last half hour have shown up here on the street. Now, neighbors I talked to say the suspect is a great kid, comes from a great family. They never saw this coming. There were no warning signs. They're very emotional. Many neighbors that I talked to, they were in tears as I was asking them questions about the family and about the suspect, asking why he would do this. So a lot of heartache here on one end of the street, a hero on the other end of the street, a 16-year-old suspect facing some very serious charges tonight. Reporting live in Murraysville, Jodine Costanzo, Channel 11 News.
Absolutely. What a remarkable coincidence that the suspect, Alex Ribel, lives on the very same street as the assistant principal who helped get him under control and under arrest.
And Peggy, one of the most seriously injured being treated right now at UPMC Presby.
Channel 11's Jennifer Tomazik has been there all day long and learned that just a few millimeters made the difference between life and death for this young man, Jennifer.
Absolutely, Peggy. A doctor said that that knife came just millimeters from his heart. But we are glad to report that he is out of surgery. He is still here at Presby. He is in critical condition. He's on life support, but the doctors are very hopeful. Now, I got a chance to talk to his girlfriend earlier today, and she identified him as Jared Boger. He is a junior at Franklin Regional. I want to show you a picture that she shared with me of the two of them. Michaela Myers, she doesn't go to Franklin Regional. She tells me she got a text about the stabbing and tried to contact her boyfriend Jared. She said that he didn't answer, and she finally got word from his friends that he was among the stabbing victims. Now, she said she left her school, she went home, her and her mom came to Presby to talk with us a little bit about him and about what her friends at Franklin Regional are going through.
They're in complete shock that they never really thought this could happen to them until it does. I mean, with what happened at Sandy Hook a year or so ago, like, nobody really thinks that it can happen until it happens in your hometown.
So Lisa, from hearing how these students had to react and knowing the stories that they are now and what they've witnessed, it's going to stay with them for some time. It's going to be a pretty difficult road to recovery here.
All right, thanks, Joe, for that update. And we want to just let you know that as Joe was speaking, Governor Tom Corbett arrived. So we do believe that the speakers at this point, most of the speakers, if not all of them, have arrived here at Franklin Regional Middle School, where we are expecting a news conference to begin at any moment.
Let me commend the efforts of not only the individuals in the school, but law enforcement, the first responders who came here, EMS, the various police departments, as the chief has said, from the FBI to our state police, our serology people were in there, but also all the local police departments. This is not something you could ever completely plan on. You certainly work on what's going to happen in a situation, but from my discussions here for the last 2+ hours, I want to commend everybody for working on this together.
Tonight on 11 at 11, a community coming together in prayer after a school stabbing.
My thoughts and prayers go out to them and their families and everyone who witnessed it.
Plus, from this tragic story, heroes are emerging.
I start putting pressure on the wound to stop the bleeding.
The brave actions that help save lives and the young victim still in the hospital.
And what we've uncovered about the teen suspect who is being charged as an adult.
Not really a kid that I would ever think would do it. Very shy, quiet.
The surprising words he uttered as a principal tackled him to the ground.
Live, local, late breaking. This is Channel 11 News 11 at 11. News coverage you can count on.
Heavy hearts tonight after a school stabbing. Neighbors, friends, families all gathering together just a short time ago to pray for the victims. This is a story we've been following since we broke into programming just before 8 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, and it's been changing hour by hour. We have Team 11 coverage tonight, but let's get you first up to speed on the latest in this tragedy. Police tell us 22 people were stabbed inside Franklin Regional High School. 21 of the victims were students, and one remains in critical condition tonight.
And Lisa, the suspect, 16-year-old Alex Reibel, is being charged as an adult. He is facing 4 counts of attempted homicide, 21 counts of aggravated assault.
And tonight, people in Murraysville are leaning on each other for support. They packed into churches to pray for the victims and to comfort one another. The chaos inside the high school erupted just after 7 o'clock this morning. When Channel 11's Joe Holden got the call, he rushed to the campus, and he's been there all day covering this big story for us tonight. He joins us live with more on the day that has left many in this community just wondering why. Joe?
And Lisa and David, things changed here at Franklin Regional even before the first bell rang. It has been a day full of intense emotion, and the question tonight persists: why? Terrified parents scramble to get to Franklin Regional High as medical choppers lift off with victims.
And all of a sudden the fire alarm went off, and we just thought it was a prank.
That alarm sounded 8 minutes before first period. By this time, police say 23 students were injured, many of them stabbed. Also hurt a school security officer. Students, confused and not fully understanding what was happening, turned to teachers.
We actually look at the teachers' faces and they're panicked.
Police say Alex Reibel, armed with 2 8 to 10 inch long knives, went on a rampage, stabbing and slashing students he came upon.
He was like, yeah, I was stabbing people, and it was just like, whoa, that's just kind of hits you, and you don't really think it's going to happen until it happens to you.
Witnesses say one student who had been stabbed managed to pull a fire alarm.
While he was being stabbed, he went and pulled the alarm and then got stabbed again.
That alarm alerted the entire school that something was wrong.
The fire alarm went off. I was walking over towards the exit, and there was blood all over the floor.
For investigators, the scene is massive. Police arrived to find injured students in school hallways.
Further checking of the first floor hallway revealed multiple victims, apparently by the knife that the actor had.
Tonight, an entire school community is wondering why. What went wrong here?
From my understanding, he didn't really have any targets. He just went after anybody that was close to him.
And according to Franklin Regional's website, classes at the high school will be canceled for at least a few days. Classes for kindergarten through 8th grades will begin tomorrow as scheduled, and grief counselors will be available for all students. And just one of the many scenes we've seen out here today. I watched as 3 students approach the steps tonight here at the high school and lay bouquets of flowers, a card that said, "Prayers for you." That's the story live outside the high school tonight in Murraysville. I'm Joe Holden, Channel 11 News.